Everybody's born with a purpose, and you find that purpose, and then you'll really do well in the world. I believe that. I didn't hear about the World War II until it happened on a Sunday, but I didn't hear about it until Monday when I went to school because we didn't have television. Well, we had a radio, and we picked it up on the radio. So, yeah, but I think at that time our C batteries were so loaded we didn't know it until Monday.
After the ending of World War I, there were many unresolved problems left over from the devastation of this war. These issues caused instability throughout Europe and ultimately fueled the start of World War II. Such problems included the political and economic uncertainty that led to the rise of Adolf Hitler. He believed Jews were the reason for this instability and therefore called for the removal of the Jews altogether in September of 1919. After becoming Reich Chancellor in 1933 and then Supreme Leader in 1934, Hitler longed for his belief of the pure German race to expand. For this expansion to occur, Hitler believed war was the only way to create the living space needed. Germany signed alliances with Italy and Japan against the Soviet Union, and later sent troops to Austria and annexed Czechoslovakia the following year. Hitler and Joseph Stalin, the Soviet leader, later signed the German-Soviet Non-Aggression Pact, which stated that Hitler would not face war on two fronts once he invaded Poland. On September 1, 1939, Hitler broke this pact and invaded Poland from the west. War was then declared by France and Britain. Japan later bombed Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, which led to the involvement of the United States in World War II.
Well, I had a brother that was in the service at that time, and I came home and told Mom, Sandy's in the war. That's about all I could say. I didn't know much about it. I was only 11. I was 15 when World War II ended in 45. I went to Korea in 1948. There was no war when I went. 48. It didn't break out until 50, June of 50. I enlisted. The only reason I enlisted was because there was 5 of us guys from our little town of Blanchardville, Wisconsin, and went into service at the same time. Those 4 guys went in, and then they came and got me, and because I couldn't sign up. I was only 17. See, I was the youngest one of the bunch that went. The other guys were, my brother was 19, and the other guys were right around 19. And they wanted to go into where there were big guns, so I followed them. I didn't want to lose them guys, because they were all my buddies, you know. And so I went where they went. And they wanted to go into the field artillery, or where the big guns were. And my mom had to sign for me. Well, God bless her, my dad, he passed away that year, and my mom said we had to go out and work and get some money. So a 17-year-old kid can't find too much of a job, really. But I found a job, and then I told her, Mom, if you sign for me to go into service, I'll send you home allotment checks. I got split up from the other 4 guys. They signed up for the airborne, and they went to Fort Benning, Georgia. I went to Fort Lewis, Washington. I got along pretty good in boot camp. I really enjoyed map reading and compass, and that really helped me when I got to Korea. You obey what your field sergeant tells you to do, and don't ever chew gum in ranks. I was chewing gum in ranks one time. He made me put it on my nose. And I walked around he said, that's gonna be on there when you go into chow tonight. Yes, sir. It was on my nose when I went into chow. But once in a while, I'd kind of rub it around, you know, itch my nose. But you do what they tell you to do. We had a airborne guy, a lieutenant, that gave us PT in the morning. He would run around that parade field a couple of times before he'd get up on that stand and give us exercises in the morning. And me and one of these other kids, we made a promise that we would keep up with that lieutenant, and we did. But that was hard. It was hard, but we did. I was 18 then, and I was by myself, and I didn't like it. I was homesick a lot of times. That was my way of saying it. We went up around the Aleutian Islands. I don't know why, but we hit a typhoon up there and blew an 8-inch hole in our bow of our ship. And man, they closed it up and kept us down in our compartments, and that was, everybody was sick. Everybody got sick. I think everybody did. I didn't see anybody that wasn't. And they had these hammocks, you know, like for beds, and I was in the, I think I was lucky, and I think I was in the third. There were 4 of them this way, and I would think I was in the third one, but it wasn't fun. I think I remember a couple weeks, because we really slowed down after we got hit by that typhoon. They slowed down to probably about 6 or 8 knots, something like that. I think it was something like that. See, Korea didn't have no army at that time, because Japan ruled them for 30 or 40 years. And so there was 12 Korean men that I taught how to send down fire commands to the FDC center, and then take them out to the field and instruct them how to use the 105s. And that was my mission. And we took them out to the field and had an old empty tank out there in the field. And I told them, I said, you see that old empty tank out there? I want you to zero in on it. Well, on the 3rd shell that they fired, blew that tank up. So I said to myself, I said, well, Howard, you did a good job. So I told my captain then, I said, they're ready to become officers in the Korean Army. And that's what I did for about, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 months, something like that. Well, I didn't think I was going to come home. We were going to be sent someplace. And so we were out on the ocean, and they didn't tell us where they were going to take us. But one day we was laying there on the sunning ourselves, and I heard Hawaiian music. And I said, oh gosh, how lucky did we get? We went to Schofield Barracks in Hawaii. Beautiful barracks, marble floors on it, and just a beautiful place. And I liked it so much I extended 1 year to stay there. And if I wouldn't have extended, I would have missed the Korean War. And I was coming home for discharge when that broke out. And I landed at the 4th Replacement Depot in San Francisco, and I told them, I walked in, and the guys there said, what's your MOS? I said, 521. Oh, he says, 521, we got a place for you. And I says, please don't send me back to Korea. He said, that's where you're going. That's what I almost got on my knees and begged them not to send me back to Korea. Because those hills, those are hill mountains they got over there. They got some big ones. And I didn't want to go back. I wanted to go home. I hadn't been home in over 3 years. We went back as a whole division. Truman said, they're going to be home for Christmas. Why should you issue them winter clothes now? We went, he didn't say what year we was going to be, you know. We froze to death, though, you know, that winter. I had shoe packs on. You know what shoe packs are? Their leather overshoes looked like to me. They had felt soles in them. And those, you'd walk all day and you would sweat. Your feet would sweat. But when you stopped at night, that would freeze. And I got a little bit of frostbite. But I would keep, I had my guys keep them felt liners inside their field jacket. They weren't clean, but they were dry. They would dry that way, below zero. And up in the mountains, you walked in snow up to your knee, over your knees. So it was cold. And what happened, they took all of our sleeping bags away from us and gave us one blanket. You know why they did that? It was because of the British soldiers. The British brigade was up on the hill in their mountain sleeping bags. I guess they didn't have no lookouts or no guys on guard duty or whatever, but the Chinese crept up the hill and killed the whole brigade in their sleeping bags. I had five major battles that I fought in. I was in Bloody Ridge, I was in Massacre Valley, I was in Coonery offense and defense, and I can't remember what the other ones were, but there was 5 of them. Told me, take me your platoon and put them on this hill up here, okay, this hill. That was just about Thanksgiving of '50, because I remember the mess sergeant told us we was going to have blueberry pie for supper that night. He moved the tent up there and made supper for us. It was going to be blueberry pie. But me and my platoon was up on that hill. Well, we was up there for probably a couple hours, and it was starting to get dark. And I got some incoming shells, artillery shells. You can tell by the sound. And so I said to myself, I said, man, that's coming from our own side. It was coming from our own people, artillery. And one of my guys, they were firing white phosphorus on us. The only way, if white phosphorus got on your hand, you could not stop it. It'd eat right through. The only way you can stop it is to cut off the oxygen to it. Mud or dirt or whatever, just to cut off the oxygen, you would stop it that way. Well, one of my guys, we were wearing pile caps at that time, and so one little piece got on his pile cap and it chewed the fur right off mine. And he was lucky it didn't go, but he took his pile cap off. So I called back my coordinates and I said, why are you guys firing on us up here on the hill? He said, what's your coordinates? I told him again. He said, you know something? You guys are in enemy territory. See, that was lack of communications. They didn't tell nobody that we were up there on that hill. So I told 2 of my guys to go down the hill and tell that first platoon that we were up there. Well, they started down the hill and they opened up on them with a .50 caliber machine gun. And I said, gosh, he hit one of my guys in the leg with a .50 caliber machine gun. And I said, we have to get out of here. We can't stay here. So I laid that guy in the ditch and covered him with brush and leaves and put a tourniquet on him. I said, now you loosen that every so often and we'll be back to get you in the morning. I said, I can't take you with me right now. And that was a hard decision to make, you know. We leave a guy behind. But we had to get out of there and get out of there fast, and he would have held us up. Anyway, we walked all night, and next morning we came through Baker Company of the 38th Infantry Regiment. And I told him what my story was, and we counterattacked that hill and found him. And he was still alive, and he was happy to see us. He was. And that's one. So, but I'll tell you one that's very hard. Coonery Pass. You had one way in, and you had to go out the same way you came in. Well, the Chinese were smart people. Actually, they were a cracked army. They had 7 armies in there. And we hadn't had no fire or didn't hit the enemy for a couple weeks. So they thought the war was over with. Douglas MacArthur I don't know why he didn't stop at the 38th parallel, but he wanted to go all the way to the Yellow River. And Cooneree is on the Yellow River. And it was cold in November over there. It's cold over there in November. So we were there. We went right into the pass, and we set up our mortars. We were ready. So it was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We got orders that the Chinese were coming across the Yellow River on the ice. It looked like, you ever see a lot of ants on an anthill? Well, that's what that looked like. It looked like an anthill with a lot of people coming across it. Now, I've told this story to a lot of times, and nobody hardly ever believes me. But I told the guys, I said, we were surrounded by Chinese on all sides. And we were backed up against a kind of a mountain. It was kind of a mountain. It's steep. You could never crawl up. We couldn't anyway. Anyway, I told my guys, I got them together, and I told them, I said, well, now what do you guys want to do? I said, I'll give you a choice. You either get killed here or get killed trying to run that roadblock. See, they set up a roadblock. They let us come in. They knew we had to go out the same way. And so I said, they all looked at me and they said, well, what do you think, Ballard? They said, what do you think? I said, well, I think we got to try to run that roadblock. We all knelt and had a word of prayer before we left. And we had a 3/4 ton truck with a trailer on behind with all of our ammunition in it. And if they would have hit someone with shells, they would blow us all up. So we went down, and I told Swanson, I said, he was my driver, I said, don't turn your lights on because it was dark. Yeah, I said, go down where you can just about see where they are, and then gun it. Well, we went down that way, and all of us, and you believe it or not, there wasn't one shot fired on us, not one. And so I say that's a miracle. Nobody got hurt, nobody even got a shot fired at them. And we went 70 miles that night, and then when I let the guys lay down and take a rest. And I went around the trailer there, and I noticed that the trailer had a flat tire on it. We didn't know that weighs on a flat tire. And we lost thousands of guys in Cooneree. If we wouldn't have got out of there, we would have probably been one of them. Oh, by the way, the reason my hearing is, I can't hear, is I got blowed up by a landmine in Korea, and it blew my hearing out. Every 2 weeks I'd get a couple of days break. So I was due for a break, and Corporal Hirschberger was supposed to come up and relieve me. And the lieutenant told me, he says, Ballard, he said, you're going off the hill now, aren't you? And I said, yep, I'm going to get relieved. Spradling was my radio operator. And I said, yeah, I'm going. He said, wait a minute. He said, I need some litter bearers up here. We have I think it was 8 or 10 guys that needed to be hauled off the hill. They were wounded. So he said, you go with Ballard down. He said, then lead the litter bearers, bring them up through. But don't come up to that valley right below us, he says. That's mined. Go all the way around the valley here. We went all the way around it. Spradling was first, my radio operator. He must have stepped right over it. And then that infantry guy that was bringing down was next, and he stepped right on it. And I was right behind him. And when it did, it blowed up. He got a hole blowed like that in his, you know what, his butt. And I got thrown like I got the concussion. And Spradling jumped in the rice paddy, and he hollered. We hollered to him. I said, Spradling, I said, this is Howard. But he wouldn't answer me. He thought we was under attack. He was hiding in the rice paddy. But I got him out of there, and we went, started down the hill, and I told Spradling, I said, I can't walk no more. I can't go no more farther. So I laid down, and they took me out of there in a helicopter to the hospital. That's part of war. So I was when you get hit by a landmine, depends on how big the landmine was. I was paralyzed I had lost that in my memory too. I don't know how long it was, but I know it was quite a while. And one morning I woke up and I started moving my hand. And then I started moving the other one. And within a week I was walking. But I don't know how long I had been that way.
What What was your worst memory from the war?
Well, I have a couple, but I'll tell you one. I had a guy come into my squad. He was just a nice blonde-headed kid, 18 years old. And he didn't realize what the war was all about. And he's the one that I put on guard duty one night, and he was only in the company a couple days before he got killed. And the Chinese were coming over the wall. I couldn't get to him to get him off of guard duty. But the next day, I went back in there and I saw him. He was killed, and he was in a mess. He was a mess. You wouldn't want to see it. Anyway, he was dead, and the poor guy didn't realize what was going on. It wasn't nice. It wasn't nice, and I think about that once in a while. I still do. I don't know. I couldn't have done nothing. I couldn't have done nothing to save him. Last day in Korea, like, oh boy, hallelujah. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. Well, I was over 21 years old when I left there. I just came home, and that was it. No hallelujah, no thank you, no good job, no nothing. Back in America. Wonderful, wonderful. I'm kind of glad to be American. We got a wonderful country. No country in the world is like America. No country. You might not like some of the things that go on in it, but it's a wonderful country. You can do things here that you could never do in other countries. And God bless our America. That's a good way to put it. God bless America.
So first, I'd like to start off by thanking Howard Ballard for giving me this amazing experience and allowing me to watch him every single day and edit a documentary for him. It's been a really cool experience, and it's taught me a lot. So the reason I decided to take this class was because my friend had taken it the past 2 years, and she spoke very highly of it. She told me how much fun it was and how great of an experience it was to be able to hear all these vets talk about their stories. So I thought, why not? My senior year, let's try and take a class that's completely different than what I've done before. And it's been one of the best experiences I've ever done. I'm so thankful for this class. So it's given me a new appreciation, a new outlook on life, how amazing these people truly are for giving up their lives every day to go fight for our freedom. Yeah, they give up quite a bit just for us to have the rights we do, and I'm very thankful for that. It's shown me everything that these people go through. Told me I've heard hands-on stories, encounters of what they dealt with while being deployed in another country, and I don't know, it's just changed me. It's given me a new appreciation for the world. I'm so thankful that I chose Howard because he is just one big ball of happiness. I've met him twice. Once at the football game and once at the pasta dinner, and he always has a smile on his face, and he's just one of the happiest people I've ever met. And it's crazy to me how he can just be that way after everything he's been through, but he just never let it get to him, and he's truly he's inspiring. That man is so, he just never stops talking. He just always has a story to tell, and I don't know, I love talking to him. He's such a sweetheart. Just watching his interview, he was always laughing, he was always smiling, and he's just an amazing guy. And so I'm really glad that I got to watch his interview and edit his documentary and meet him the few times that I did. But those few times, they will stick with me for the rest of my life, knowing this man's story and just everything. It's life-changing. So I'd personally like to thank Howard Ballard for his service and just everything and allowing me this opportunity and being able to create his documentary. So thank you, Howard.